Neat stuff, neat stuff.
Howdy. For this neat stuff, we want to talk about two items. And these kind of go along with me running out of fuel on last week's episode. The first item is a gauge that basically tells you what the level of your tank is. I know your units come with a gauge, but mine didn't work too good. Matter of fact, I'm on my second one and it still doesn't indicate. I don't know if it's a flow situation, whatever. And this gauge is very inexpensive. And it's just a way to double check where you're at with fuel, because when you are in a cold scenario and you run out of fuel, you're going to have somebody on your rear end telling you it's, when are we going to get the heat and things like this. This is my existing tank, and the gauge in the middle is red. When I turn it back and forth, it's red. Now I put the gauge on it, and one side is empty, and the other side is full. So this device is very handy, and it's very nice to have around when your gauge is acting a little funky. The second thing I'd like to talk about is giving yourself a little backup. And that's exactly what we did when we ran out of fuel in last week's episode. We ran to Target. We bought a little ceramic heater, just a very common one. We bought a small unit, just a Honeywell. I think we paid $39 at Target. I've seen them as low as, $25. And I've seen them as high when you get the very tall towers, $60, $70. It does a very good job of keeping your unit fairly warm. We actually used that unit throughout the remainder of this trip. And we were in sub-freezing weather in North Carolina, and we did not run out of fuel again. So it does a lot to keep you from having to refill your tanks. With this ceramic heater, we got to talk a little bit about amps. And when they tell you you have a 30 amp unit or a 50 amp unit, or you're going to connect a 30 amp or 50 amp, that's the most important part about the electricity. You got to do the math. And unfortunately, these little ceramic units are what you would call amp eaters. They take a lot of amperage. So if you've got one of those running and you want to put your microwave, or the wife wants to dry her hair, which are also two pretty good size amp eaters, you're going to have to decide, can it take it? And it's a very simple process. All you got to really do is add the amps up. They have gauges that you actually can watch your units and see how much amperage there are, but you can just look on the side of the package and it tells you that this package is a 5 amp, a 10 amp, a 15 amp, a 20 amp, or whatever the case is. Each specific appliance tells you what its amp rating is. And you just add this one plus this one plus this one plus this one. And when you get to 30 amps, you're probably going to pop a circuit. When you get to 50 amps, if you happen to be that, you're probably going to pop a circuit. So that is the story behind amps. So here's two simple items. One's just a little backup for the gauges where you can find it. I know there's a lot more expensive ones to go with, but this is just a little cheap thing. And the other is using a ceramic heater. Hope this has been helpful, and we will see you next week.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
Turn on your post notifications.
Comments down below.